Well, good evening, everybody. Once again, we're going to go way back into the archives of Erekose's videos. Let's fire this up and let's click on share sound. Hopefully this will premiere just before my live chat with Dr. Ed Johnston, who's agreed to come back and have another chat with me exactly a week after he joined me last week. So looking forward to that. Anyway, let's have a listen to the dude.
Hello everybody, we're back with another video. Today we're doing a video regarding the state's claim that Barb Taddick was offered the opportunity to be present during Brendan's interviews. They claim that they gave her the opportunity to be there, that they offered her the opportunity to be there, but that's not exactly true. We're going to see here as we move through this video, you're going to see pretty much how little truth there is to that. Another one part of this that you kind of need to keep in mind here as well is that Barb was led to believe this whole time that they were questioning Brendan as a witness. She never ever had any inkling that they were actually looking at him as a suspect. So when she was agreeing with the officers, she thought she was agreeing with allowing them to question a witness, Brendan as a witness, not interrogate him as a murder suspect. Had they made that clear to her, she would have been present. She would have made sure. But so long as they were leading her to believe that he was only being questioned as a witness, she was being compliant and trying to be helpful. So, and a lot of us would think that way too. We would be worried about this poor girl that got murdered possibly or is missing, and we would want to be helpful. And I'm sure she didn't believe Brendan did it. So she probably just believed that they were questioning him as a witness or possible witness. So that doesn't seem too far out. So what we're going to be looking at here, the documents I'm going to be showing you, is from Brendan's 2010 appeal in the Court of Appeals. It's from the court testimony. And it's basically Laura Nyrider questioning Barb about those days, basically the February 27th through March 1st. And March 1st would be the day that's the big interrogation, where they essentially kept pumping Brendan until he said the things they wanted him to say. That was the confession that was thrown out by Judge Duffin. On the 27th, it was, well, you'll see here, it was about an hour long. But we'll go into the first document here, and you'll see this starts out. We're on February 27th of 2006, and they're basically calling Barb to ask her to come down to the school to pick up Brendan. Okay, Laura Nyrider asked, the day that Officer Wiegert and Fassbender first questioned Brendan, on that day, what time did the investigators contact you? Barb answers, what day? Nyrider says, on February 27th. It was around, I'd have to say around 2 o'clock. How did they get in touch with you? They called me on my cell phone. Do you remember which person it was? Which investigator placed the call? If I think back, I'm sure it was Mark Wiegert. And what did Mark tell you? That I should come to the school and pick up my son. Did he tell you that Brendan had already given them some statement having to do with Teresa Hallbach? Yes. Okay. Before you got that call, Barb, did you know that the officers had been questioning your son already? No, I didn't. How old was Brendan at the time? 16. What time did you get to Brendan school that day? It was a little after 3. I had to finish work before I could go down there. Okay, so there we see that Barb was called at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the day's pretty much over by that point. So, how much opportunity was she given to be there? Anyways, we know that he was being questioned at school that day. And then they called her to come pick him up or whatever. And at that point, they went down to the Two Rivers Police Department. They went. So she gets the call at 2:00. She says, "Okay, I'll meet you down there or whatever." She gets off work at 3. She had to stay till 3. She had to finish her shift. So she leaves there at 3 and goes down to the school. They get there, and then from there they transport over to the Two Rivers Police Department. And she makes the and then she also knows that they were she's aware that they were already questioning Brendan. So that, because they were questioning him at the school. So she was aware that they were already doing that. So the thing is that she was not given much of a chance to be there. By 2:00, the day is 2/3 over, 3/4 over, pretty much by that point, depending what time of year. Maybe if it's springtime or something, maybe it might get darker a little later. So we might have a few more hours in the day. But my point is, by 2:00, most of the business day is over. So I just honestly don't see where she was given much opportunity to be there, as they state that they gave her the opportunity. Yeah. So that's basically what how I feel about that first segment. We're going to go ahead and move into the second segment here, where Laura and I Ryder questions Barb further about that day and gets a little bit more of the information. What happened after you arrived at the police station? We went and they took Brendan into a room down at the police station. Did you try to join them? I tried, but they more or less told me that it was in my best interest to go wait in the waiting room because that Brendan was going to give them a gruesome story. Barb, did the officers tell you that you shouldn't be in the room with Brendan? Yes. How did you feel about not being able to be in that room? Upset. So, where were you exactly while Brendan was being questioned by the police at Two Rivers Station? In the waiting room. How long were the investigators alone with Brendan? I'll say about an hour. Could you hear or see what was happening to him? No. Okay, so there we see that the one time that Barb she was there, could have possibly been in the room with Brendan, could have possibly, and by letting her be in the room with Brendan, would have at least had a parent present with him once, which would have only helped them, really, but they didn't. They didn't let her in there. Well, they dissuaded her. First of all, she didn't believe he was a murder suspect, right? And second of all, they told her that he was going to be telling them a gruesome story, and that she should go sit in the waiting room. Now, as I said, she was trying to be compliant. She was trying to cooperate. And, so if they wanted to question Brendan, she was fine with that. But like I said, at this point, she had no idea that they were really looking at him as a suspect instead of a witness or a possible witness. So, there's the misdirection that's created here. I mean, they're clearly they clearly have led her to believe that he is not a murder suspect. But we all know, if you've watched my videos, I've got other videos about Brendan, that they were on Brendan from day one. November 6th of 2005, they were already grooming Brendan. They were grooming him for his eventual confession that they wanted out of him. Yeah. So we find out that she, was told, no, it's going to be gruesome. You should go sit in the waiting room. Brendan was questioned for about an hour that day, which is the day I believe that they kept, going at him anyways, for an hour. And I think they basically, just like they do on the March 1st, they got him to say a couple things. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what he said that time, but he was there for an hour. And after that, that's when they all moved on to the Fox Hills Resort. And that's an interesting thing to me, because you think about it, Barb is still not thinking that they're considering Brendan a murder suspect because they're taking him and putting him in a hotel at the Fox Hills Resort or whatever, and stuff like that. Almost makes like her think that maybe Brendan's some kind of a star witness, possibly. That they're trying to make him happy because they need him to whatever. She doesn't know what Brendan has told them. She has no idea, or what's been said. So she's just going on what she's basically been led to believe, that he's just a witness. So she's thinking that he's like being treated well. They're putting him at this Fox Hills Resort and stuff. Misleading to me, in my opinion. It's misleading, I think, because it led her to believe that they were buddy with Brendan, and they were trying to cultivate a relationship with him, and it all looked like they were being very as Brad Schimmel himself puts it in the brief, very grandfatherly towards Brendan. So I don't see where she had any hint of what they were up to at this point. And anyways, so we'll go on now. We're going to go into the next segment here. And this is the segment where Laura Nyrider is asking Barb about what went down on March 1st. Now, this is very interesting. So check this out. Remember, Brad Schimmel and the state claims that they gave Barb every opportunity to be present at these interrogations / interviews. So anyways, here it is. Okay, moving on to March 1st, 2006, which is the day that Brendan told the police that he had been involved in Teresa's death. When did you first talk to the Officer Wiegert and Fassbender on that day, March 1st? It was after I got out of court. Court for me was at 1. It must have been about 1:30 or 2. Was there something that morning? Oh, yes. They had called me and asked me if they could take Brendan down to the Manitowoc police or jail and question him or some more. Okay, and when did they ask you that? What did they say? Or what did you say? I had told them, yeah, as long as they bring him back to the high school. Okay, did they invite you to join them and Brendan at the sheriff's office? No. Barb, did you have any idea that the police were going to accuse your son of murder? No. Would you have responded differently to their request to question Brendan if you had known that they were going to accuse him of murder? Yes, I would have told them that I wanted to be there. Just to do a little more cleanup. From March 1st, Barb, was there any reason why you couldn't have been there on March 1st? Because I was at a court date for my divorce. Laura Nyrider says, all right. Okay, so there we find out that on March 1st, Monday, March 1st, Barb was in court. She was in court for her divorce. And she was there until like 1:30 or 2 o'clock. Once again, most of the day pretty much over by that point. So, yeah, how is that the state gave her the opportunity to be there and be present? They're claiming they did, but I mean, I'm not seeing it. I'm really not. It's just not looking that way to me. Sorry, but it doesn't. If she was in divorce court, or whatever until 1:30 or 2 o'clock, there's no way she could have been there for it. That's all. I mean, there's just no way. There's no way it could have happened. So the fact that the state can try to make that claim is just shocking. Anyway, moving on. She does say that she had given permission for them to take Brendan out of school. Okay, but she had granted the permission with the stipulation of as long as you take him back. Like maybe for 6 period so that he could get his project turned in. Right? Clearly there was a misunderstanding here. Okay, because even Brendan thought he was going back to school. We all know this because we've all seen that part of the interview. So but yeah, she gave permission for them to, and the reason why she gave that permission is because at that point in time she still only thought they were treating him as a witness, as a possible witness. that's really what she still thought. And it's pretty clear when you look at the way that everything goes down. She really looks to me like she was just really just trying to be helpful in the investigation and didn't realize what they were doing to Brendan. Didn't realize that all of this was just basically slowly wearing him down. It was wearing him down and making him vulnerable enough to where when they started getting rough with him on March 1st and going through all those hours with him on March 1st, they were just basically softening him up. That's what it looks like. When you look at the way this went down, it looks pretty darn clear, because Barb says without a doubt that if she had known that they were considering him as a murder suspect, she would have been in the room. She would have been Mama Bear, on steroids, getting at her son. Okay? But because she thought he was just a witness, she was just being compliant and just going along with the investigation. So that's the difference here. And it's sad what they've done here. They bullied this kid. They misled Barb. Played all these games. These are not things that honest people do. Okay, this is not things that honest people do. When you know you've got somebody dead to right, then you know you don't need to pull stunts like this. When you know you've got them without any doubt, you don't need to pull stunts like this to try to create the opportunity for you to bully this poor kid right under his mother's nose. I mean, it's sad. It really is sad. Because when it comes down to it, there's no way that Barb could have been present the first day when she was at work on the 27th. There's no way she could have been present on March 1st because she was in court for part of her divorce proceedings or whatever. So she was there until 1:30 or 2 o'clock. There's no way she could have been there. So acting like they gave her an opportunity to be there, no. They knew she'd be at work. They did the interrogations on the day that she knew she'd be either at work or whatever, because they could have done them on the weekend there. They could have done them on Saturday or Sunday, right? Most likely Barb's going to be around. The point is that they had led her to believe that Brendan wasn't a murder suspect. And she believed that. But we know because we've now looked into this Brendan thing, and we know that on November 6th, the day after the RAV4 was found, we know that they were already starting to groom Brendan. They were already pulling him over, interrogating him, and accusing him. Okay? So that right there shows you that from day one, they had this idea in place. And like I said, that's where the grooming of Brendan started. The grooming of Brendan for his eventual confession. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with some clips here of that interview. And you can hear just how aggressively they are going after Brendan one day after the RAV4 is found. I cannot stress that enough. One day after the RAV4 is found. And they are all over Brendan like flies on dog duty. So I'm going to leave you with that now. Here it comes. By the way, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe and have a nice day.
You remember that girl taking that picture? You're getting off the bus, it's a beautiful day, it's daylight, and everybody sees it. You do too. Do you remember seeing that girl standing there taking a picture? Brandon, come on. You do know, don't you? Brandon, that's it. Brandon, I know you're still not telling me the truth. Huh? Okay, so why'd you not tell us the truth about when you saw her leaving?
I was scared.
Okay, let's get beyond being scared. Let's get beyond the idea of you getting in trouble and going to jail, because it's not going to happen, okay? Tell us Anything more? Did you actually see her leave, or did she stay there?
Well, it's always interesting, isn't it, to look back on something like that when you know there has always been these questions raised about Barb's presence or lack of presence. It was an issue back then. It seems to be something that is festering away. I know it's something that fires up quite a lot of people. So I'm just gonna leave it there. As I say, I've got a live chat coming up straight after this with Ed Johnston. So look forward to your company then. Catch you all soon. Bye for now.